Welcome back. Well, now we've got Professor Anthony Killer here with us. He's the director of CIAPS. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you for having me.
I'm okay. In all of this screening, what sticks out for you?
Well, what sticks out is that the system is archaic. The method is old. There is a big disconnect with the dynamic moving world where times matter, where planning is supreme. It seems to be a replica of a very old, bad film, you know, and we're doing things the same way it was done probably 100 years ago elsewhere. And you know, you're watching a black and white bad film on a big flat screen TV. It's the kind of feeling I get when I watch it. So
not that they had to itemize what they want to do in black and white.
Yes, and even the bad films, you see, they're using an analog system in a digital age. And the ceremonies are archaic. The depth of the conversation is not really there. I mean, they're talking as if they're graduates being primed to be mid-managers, not people who are going to rule a country of over 200 million people with billions of dollars at stake.
Now, let's be specifically.
Specifically.
Which one?
Well, for starters, you see, again, it's like everything in Nigeria, like most things in Nigeria. We need a radical review to look at the things we do things. Number one, if you're sending people for screening as ministerial nominees, and people are going to interview them, and the whole nation is watching, the whole world is watching actually, at least we should presume the whole world is watching. The first thing is to review this idea of sending people as cabinet members without portfolios. First, you should attach their portfolios so that somebody goes there to say, I want to be Minister for Agriculture. The question should be, why do you want to be Minister for Agriculture? Why do you agree to be nominated for that? And the person is going to say, because in the next 48 months, well, now they have less than 48, you see, because they're being nominated 2 months after. I digress, but let me quickly say that the Nigerian system is slow. 4 years ago, it was 6 months. So now it's 2 months before they send the nominees. We're supposed to be happy. There's this gradual, marginal increase. They're not good enough for 2019. But here we are, better than where it was before. So they should say, this is my 48-month plan for my ministry. I want to be agriculture because this is my view on agriculture. This is how I intend to interact between environment, business, agriculture, and technology. And this is my past. This is my plan. You should come with that and say, it is for that reason that I was put forward as for this role, and this is why I want to do it. If you're coming for something else, you should be in a position to be asked those questions. Another thing is this, a lot of people have been wondering why the charade-like scene of take a bow in the Senate. Somebody has tried to explain it, to say that because the law says that for you to be a minister, you must meet the criteria of being a member of the House. So that if you've been a member of the House before, you just come in and take a bow and it's not needed. It's silly. If we agree with that, then I should just be at least saying these people will not be screened because they've met the criteria before, and you save us time. I have a problem, I have a suspicion that the people ruling Nigeria are not part of the productive sector of Nigeria. Because you see, if they had a background in corporate world and they had to buy airtime on channels, they'll be more mindful of the way they're using the airtime in the Senate. And it just shows you, and if you put all those things together, you realize that the mindset of the people doing these things is very far away from the mindset of productive
So
Nigeria.
then you are questioning the pool from which we pull leadership?
I question the mindset of leadership in Nigeria. Leadership in Nigeria is not citizen-centric. It does not really portray the idea that they're there to serve the people and that time matters and that they need to be in the context of 2019. Fortunately, unfortunately for us, a country we're very close to culturally, historically, and business-wise. I think about the UK. Had a similar change of power. You know, just nails there. New Prime Minister nominated, go to the Queen that same day, came back, presented cabinet, Next day, they started moving.
But
We run a presidential system.
some will say that that is different. Of course, they have Brexit in a few months. It's like they need to get something done really fast. So isn't that different?
Those who say so out of ignorance, because it's not the first time they're doing it. They did it 4 years ago, I said, just after Boehri got in, Theresa May got it. It's not a new thing. It's a system. They've always done it. Brexit or no Brexit. They don't spend money on sparing money. They don't declare public holiday just because one person is getting a job. They just get on with the job. And the next day, the Prime Minister was saying already what he would do. Actually, he was saying what he has done. His first speech in Manchester said, yesterday, I met with these directors and I gave his orders, and in 24 hours, this is what's going to happen. You know why? He's been priming to be Prime Minister for a while. He's been studying that system.
But you know, concerning the ministers, pardon me,
Yes.
they spoke about, some of them spoke about what they've done,
Yes.
those who are returning.
Yes.
So in that breath, did they give a good account of themselves?
Well, again, for their audience, they did, because that audience is weak. You know, the people screening them, they lack substance. You want to put them in front of a panel. Yes. You want to put them in front of a panel that gives dates and figures and screen them. Look at the parliamentary system. You want to put them in front of a British Parliament, an American Senate. They ask dates, time, when and where, how much. Who did you speak to, what paper? What research did you do to do it? What was the alternative choice for everything you do? Choice leadership is about making decisions. Decision is about every time you're in a junction and you weigh the options. Should I take option A, option B? What is the cost benefit? What is the analysis? We're weak. I look at that thing and I'm thinking, this is not going well. By the way, a lot of those people there are my personal friends, and I congratulate them. And whilst we say all these things, it must be said that every Nigerian citizen should wish the government well. And I wish the nominees well. You know, I just hope that they go higher than what they've seen in the National Assembly there. They need to know they've had an easy ride.
You think that the process of this screening
Yes.
is not going to produce the best out of these guys?
Absolutely not. I mean, come on. The screening is a charade, it's just a ritual. Has anybody gone through that thing and come back and said, no, we've not screened you? Everybody was screened. You know, all you needed
Well, everybody has not been confirmed.
That's it. You see, when I talk about structural changes in our system, you know what we should be doing? We should be confirming before screening. Because the confirmation period is where you put your declaration of assets, where you show you don't eat babies at night, and where you show you've not been caught doing something unwanted. You know what we should do? Confirm first to say he's actually eligible, she's actually eligible to be minister. Then you go and screen for substance. You're looking at character, capacity. You need to first check the capacity to be there. To show he hasn't got a bad thing. Then you look at the...
This raises some concern when you speak about capacity and how you don't think that they're up to scratch, because some of them, they've been former governors. Some of them, they spent over 30 years in their professional career, oil and gas, some of them, and they still didn't come across as though they were up to scratch. So is that as a result of how they give account of themselves, or as a result of those who were asking of the account of themselves?
I think largely it's those who are asking account of themselves. Largely, you know, let's be very brutal about it. I put 70% of the blame on the Senate and 30% on the nominees themselves. But this 30% is a very huge 30%, because you could change the discourse. You know, if you see, part of the problem is that there's no clear vision of what they're going to do, because they don't know the cabinet themselves. If you knew the cabinet, you could change the discourse. If somebody's asking you a silly question, a weak question, let's put it mildly, a weak question, you could answer with a strong answer, because you know exactly what you're doing. Because the person talking to you might not be up to you, but if you are saying exactly what you're going to do, it helps you change direction of it. To that extent, is weak. Then they say the former governors, the former House of Assembly. In Nigeria, being former anything is bad to me, because all these former, they've not achieved a lot in their blood.
Why is it that bad?
Because the country is still potholes and light and issues. So if you tell me you have experience in Nigeria, look at you with distrust. It means you're part of the problem.
But some former employees of some organizations have returned to the same organization.
Yeah.
Organizations where they made profit, where they grew. As Nigeria has been making profit, as the entities in Nigeria have been growing progressively.
Do you think, Professor, do you think that if we're going to say, okay, we want to give you a job, like, okay, the ministerial position is a public sector office.
Yes.
If we're going to employ in the public sector as we do in the private sector, what would you recommend?
I would recommend that there should be an open, transparent competition for it, in the sense of choices.
So they all put in applications?
No, not application. It's an open debate. I don't believe in it. By the way, when I talk, people think I'm referring to technocrats. I don't believe in technocrats. It's hypocrisy. People have their political views. You could be a medical doctor or a lawyer, but you could be a sympathizer for party A or party B. There's nothing wrong with that. So it's not like technocrats come from mass or people have to stay away from politics and they go and look for them. It doesn't work that way, and it shouldn't be that way. The idea should be that it should be known that the possible ministers, if Mr. A or Madam B becomes president, are like for, say, aviation or health or law, is either Mr. B or Mr. C. You know, sort of vaguely. That why? Because those were the people that are working on that sector whilst they were planning the campaign. Those were the people that were drawing the plans. So people who have an idea that those are the people in charge of it, maybe, you know, 3 to 5 people amongst them. How do we decide who? The decision about who will be something there where there's a correlation between the mindset of the commander-in-chief on how he wants to drive the country. So I'll give you an example. So say we had 2 bright people working on finance for the campaign of the country. They wrote the speech, they drew the program up. Then the president is elected, and you see him as, what is his fiscal policy going to be like? Do you think he's going to go for more spending or higher tax? Or is he going to go for more liberalization? The moment he picks Peter instead of Paul, you understand what he wants to do.
You think that's
because out of the 2, that is the right, that's the way it ought to be. Because you know that Mr. Peter is more for liberalization, where Paul is more for holding the state into government. And how do you know? Because of their past interventions.
Does that really work? Because there are those who will tell you, look, what you see is way different from the considerations that have been taken before certain persons were picked.
Well, it depends on the kind of country you want. So far, in history and geography...
So you're talking about what should be?
What has been?
What has been here?
Yes. So far, the countries that have worked well, the system that has functioned, that have delivered light, water, education of everybody, that is the way they've done it. If we now want to do our own in a different way, the consequence of what we're doing is in front of us. We need to make a decision.
Well, you know, speaking a little bit about that technical bit, and if you could shed some light on that, you know, does that then mean that if, for instance, a president or a government is elected,
yes,
they come in and they want to make changes in, say, maybe health or the finance sector, and then they look for a professional who's got several years of experience under his belt, either in any of those fields, and they pick him or her to head maybe that finance or the health ministry. Does that necessarily mean that the person automatically becomes what, you know, subscribe to the policies or the political leanings of that party? Or
no, it's the other way around. It's the other way around. You choose people because they fit what you want to achieve. You see, that's the idea. If you, okay, say I was elected president of Nigeria, this is what I would do. I would look at the kind of plan I have for the country. Yeah. And I'll speak to people who I see bright, that can achieve plans. Say, because the thing about politics is this. The problem we have is incompetence and corruption in Nigeria. Every politician actually wants the system to work.
Yeah, that's what you would do.
No.
What has happened?
What has happened? What has happened? Well,
yeah, because I think some of them say they refer to themselves as technocrats because they feel, look, I'm a professional just coming in to do this.
Who's that?
It doesn't mean I'm a card-carrying member of the party.
Well,
so why do you say you don't subscribe to them being technocrats?
There's nothing wrong. You see, all these are unnecessary myths. There's nothing wrong being a card-carrying member.
Yeah, but
it doesn't make you dumb because you're a card-carrying member. It doesn't make you smarter.
But if they are not,
yes,
what is wrong with them saying I am not? And then, but I'm still serving.
Maybe it's just because Nigerians pay us for lying. I mean, there's no point, there's no reason why you can't go on there and say the truth. It's just because by default we lie a lot as a people. We must look at it and say the truth. We think politics is lying, is dressing things. It's not necessary.
Are you talking about politicians who lie a lot, or?
Yes, they lie a lot generally. I've come across.
Well, you've been in politics yourself.
Oh yes, I've been. Yes,
Did you
that's
lie
what I'm telling you. Do I lie? No.
Wow.
I don't.
But every politician will say that.
No, not everybody
They
will
all
say
tell
that.
us they don't lie.
Not everybody will say that. But you see, because when you pay in mainstream, you tend to dress things, but it's not necessary. I argue that it's not necessary. That's the point. It's because of the way we play. This cabinet that we've seen, logically, legitimately, it seems to be a cabinet of reward for campaign contribution.
But
You come across.
But,
okay,
unfortunately, it's not a cabinet of big ideas.
But then some will say this was inevitable. I mean, from the scratch. You've had these people, they've been at the corridor of power for a long time.
Yeah.
So if we don't have, for example, people like you, if you've not, as it were, paid your dues. In fact, the Prime Minister of the UK, for example, chose people that have been in the system,
Absolutely.
people he can work with. So if people, technocrats or people that could do the job well, if they didn't, for example, join a party, call themselves politicians, maybe not liars, but politicians, and, go through that process, then why are we surprised that we're having this?
I am not surprised. There's nothing wrong with the people there. I mean, mind you, everybody is a graduate with some kind of experience, perhaps some postgraduate degree. Some of them have done some short courses, and they've exaggerated as if they've done long courses for their degrees. Some of their CVs are, a bit dressed up, but it's okay. There's nothing wrong.
You've seen some of those.
Oh yes, I've seen them. You know me. I take time to go into details. I know, but there's nothing wrong with this crop of people. I don't have issues with individuals. I think they're great. From Kemisola Sayaraki that you're showing to Godi here to Adamu. They're all, they're all cool people. The problem is the system. It's not the people that we need to change. It's the system. So when you get together, system trumps individuals. We've made a mistake thinking we can get saints or superstars or strongmen. It's a system we need to focus. It's a system that allows you to be nominated and sent for screening without a cabinet that needs to change. It's a system that does not make transparent the process of deciding for this person rather than this person. There's nothing wrong in healthy competition to show that the state, these are the 5 people each state nominated for the role, and the president decided for this one or these 2.
So you don't have a problem with former governor, former anything, like you said?
I have a bit of problem with former.
Okay, so it's not just the system, it's also the people.
Well, no, in this case, no, not the people. The people are fine. The problem with former is that there are very few formers in Nigeria that are superstars in what they were former at. You see, there are a few governors who are 36 governor times what? 19 times, do it by half. That's about 72. We've had more than 100 governors in Nigeria in the past 20 years, right? About 100 plus governors. Out of the 100 plus governors, you can't count 10. Actually, you can't count 10 who are mega stars.
Are some of those 10, are some of them there?
You want to put me into trouble? No, they're not there. And you say, I will tell you brilliantly. But the 10 does not exist in the country that are mega stars, that have taken their state from nothing to something. They're not there. So as a result, we don't have House of Assembly people, legislators who are known for big speeches, who are known for big initiative, who are known for big law input, who are known for big constituency involvement. We don't have them. So as a result, when you tell me if you're a former in Nigeria, I look at you with suspicion and say, ha ha, here comes the people who led the patrol to my road. So this format, it doesn't work. And again, you see, you want to put me in trouble, let's go. This format thing, if I had my way, you can't do 30 years in politics. After you've done like 8 years, get a break. Go and be a dentist or a lawyer, or go and do some NGO, then come back with fresh ideas. Because if you stay in there forever, your brain gets cluttered.
How would they then get into those places if they all think like you, don't like any format to come into...
No, they do short format.
A new short format.
They don't do long format.
All right.
They don't.
We'll be back. We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us. Well, it's our concluding moments now. So, Prof, are you given the impression that politics is a bad thing here?
Oh, not at all. It's not a bad thing. I mean, it's like any other thing. If you do it badly, you get bad results. If you do it well, you get good results. There's nothing wrong with politics. I mean, it's a necessary thing. There's nothing fantastic about it either. It's just one of the necessaries in life. The problem is that we're putting too much importance on politics in Nigeria. It's too central. It's too invasive in our lives.
What should we pay attention to then?
To other spheres of life. People should be famous for being journalists, doctors, and carpenters. The people we respect should be people who are adding value to our life. We should be talking about big photographers. We're talking about scientists. We should be interested on who is the president of the Academy of Science in Nigeria. Most people don't even know. We should be talking inventions and problem solving.
That sounds like a long-term thing, and I think it's a good thing as well. You talked about, the fact that this cabinet will probably be active for, say, 2-3 years?
Less, probably like 18 months, net.
Okay. Now, in that sphere, it means that all of their planning will probably be limited to that space of time.
Yeah.
Nigeria is, what, almost 60 years old now, and we don't have long-term plan. Do you see any?
Oh, no, you can have plans. Actions are different from plans. You can have long-term plans. You can actually have 20 years plan, but you just decide in the 20 years, my 4 years, what am I going to do about it?
To what end? Because, I mean, you mentioned a country like America or Russia, you can say, okay, this is what this nation stands for.
Yeah.
Shouldn't we have such a national ethos?
Well, we have to. I mean, it's just that people are not allowing it to happen. It's there's a need to have that. But to do that, you need something like a sovereign national conference. You need a platform of the people who decide who are we, how do we want to live together, how do we want to move forward, and this is what we stand for. It cannot be done by government or parties.
So how do we galvanize the people?
I think a good way will be to have a constitutional forum. I think we still need to have a proper sovereign national conference. Otherwise, we enact what was done in the past.
Or we've had conferences.
It doesn't matter. We have more until we get the right one. I mean, don't you...
have more former people who've been in conferences? Former delegates?
Well, we have whoever is available and willing to go ahead. And the former, they should be advisors.
We'll end on that note. Professor Anthony Killer is the Director Center for International Advanced and Professional Studies, that's CIAPS. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that is the show today. We thank you all for watching. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
I'm Kaido Kikulu. Well, the president for the Nigerian Council of Science, you mentioned that. Yeah, actually Professor Musto Noah. Just put that in.
Just to let people know that, exactly. I'm very happy.
All right. We know the professor of who you are, Strategic and Development Studies. I'm Ayamakide. Have a wonderful day.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on this program are those of the maker and do not reflect the views, opinions, and endorsement of Channels Television.